97-mile-an-hour fastball. He was pumped. So were the Athletics, and especially when Eric Sogard was intentionally walked in the ballgame. That was a highlight, really, besides his basket. He was great.
So Manny Machado, he was the hero last night. Quite a player. He's got 25 home runs now this year. And Ray, I think what makes him so dangerous in this Orioles lineup, he bats first.
How about that?
And it happened last night. The lineup turns over, and he ends up winning the game.
Well, as Buck Showalter's manager said, he can do it all with the glove. He's a Gold Glove third baseman. He can make them deep in the hole. Very strong arm. He can charge the ball bare hand as he did last night. And then swinging the bat, as Buck Showalter says, why not put one of my best hitters in the leadoff spot? He might get an extra at bat. Well, last night he did as he ended the game. But you're looking at a superstar at 23. He knows how to play the game. He's very young. He's going to be an Oriole, maybe like Brooks Robinson his whole career, because he can play.
All right, so the Orioles will send the right-hander Miguel Gonzalez to the mound. So he and Bassett, it's a rematch from that start last week at the Coliseum. We'll have lineups at first pitch when we return to Baltimore. It's a gorgeous night, and we're looking for a good ball game. Lineups at first pitch in just a moment. As you can see, a big crowd tonight at Camden Yards. J.J. Hardy jersey giveaway. And a team in a pennant race, the Baltimore Orioles. So big crowd on a Saturday night here in Baltimore. It's game 2 of the series. The Athletics and the Orioles. Let's look at the game time weather for tonight, presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is now open daily. It's warm, 85 degrees, a little bit humid, but very comfortable as the evening sets in. And the Orioles have taken the field wearing the orange tops tonight. A's with the gray pants and the green tops. So those two gentlemen right there, Burns and Canha, will be the first two hitters in the A's lineup. After that, it's Reddick, Butler, Vogt, Laurie, Sogard, Semien, and Fulton. There's your Oakland A's starting lineup.
And Gonzalez pitched well against the Athletics early in the game, but ended up giving up 4 runs in the contest at the Coliseum, a game in which Chris Bassett did pitch. And 5 1/3, 5 hits, 4 runs did Miguel Gonzalez, but not really overpowering. He will throw an assortment of pitches, and including a split finger fastball. So the Orioles have a few pitchers with that specialty pitch. We saw last night with Ubaldo Jimenez, who threw a pretty good one.
So Gonzalez kicks, and the first pitch of the game is fouled straight back to the screen by Billy Burns. So we're underway at 7:07 local time. Burns, Canha, and Reddick, the first 3 hitters in the A's lineup. And that one's driven to center, and it's hit well. Jones going back, and it's over his head. And let's watch Billy Burns run as he rounds second. And he's going to head to third, and he's going to make it with a stand-up triple.
It's rare, but it's fun when it happens. Rare for the outfield to play shot on the ball to be hit over their heads. And Jones Gold Glove center fielder, but Miguel Gonzalez gave Billy Burns a fastball up. He drove it. See how shallow Jones was playing, and the ball just kept carrying. And the ball will carry here. A normal position played by Jones, who blows bubbles after he goes after the ball. But Billy Burns, a good start to this ball game with a triple, and to watch him run is a thing of beauty. All on his own with everything in front of him.
So triple number 7 for Burns, and here's Mark Canha. Canha taps one slowly toward Hardy. It'll get a run home, and the A's lead 1-0. 3 pitches into the game. So Canha gets his 38th RBI on the ground out to short. Well, so obviously infield playing back, just put it in play.
And there's your gift run. And how many times have we talked about that, Cap, where it is a run that the A's have to get, and Mark Canha has been pretty good at it, and he brings that one in to give the A's an early lead. I'm just going to say the A's have been getting some runs early. It's just a matter of being able to hold the runs and hold the lead.
So that'll bring up Reddick, who takes a first pitch strike. Reddick at 281, 13 home runs and 60 RBIs. There's that curveball that drops low. Reddick was 1 for 4 with a double and a run scored. Clevenger, the catcher, sets up inside, and that one spins inside. On deck is Billy Butler. That one tapped fair out in front of home plate. Gonzalez quickly fires to first, and they just get ready. So 2 away, and let's take a look at that Orioles defense. Nolan Reimold is in left, Adam Jones in center, Gerardo Parra in right, and then Machado, Hardy, Scope, and Davis. Very good infield for the Orioles, and Steve Clevenger is the catcher. Clevenger, one of 3 catchers that the Orioles are carrying right now, with Matt Wieters still out of the lineup with his hamstring injury. Clevenger was called up before yesterday's game. Billy Butler, 238 the average, 9 home runs, 47 RBIs.
Well, as you have mentioned, since the A's and the Orioles have been playing back in Oakland and last night, that the free agents, potential free agents, and especially in the catching position. So with Caleb Joseph, who caught 13 innings last night, here's the umpiring crew.
Adam Hammer calling balls and strikes. That's Larry Vanover. He's the crew chief and the second base umpire tonight.
I think the Orioles have to be looking at the catching position to see what they're going to be planning to do.
Davis digs out the throw for Machado, side retired, but Billy Butler with a leadoff triple. Canha gets him home on a ground ball, and the A's lead 1-0 after half an inning. Orioles, bottom of the first. Lineup has Manny Machado in the leadoff spot. And then Gerardo Parra, Adam Jones, Chris Davis, lots of power there. Jonathan Scope, Steve Clevenger, J.J. Hardy. The DH is Henry Urrutia. And in left field is Nolan Raimo.
Chris Bassitt in the normal rotation and trying to pick up his second win. The first against these Orioles at the Coliseum. Pitched very well. 9 ground ball outs in the start, in which he went 7 innings against the Orioles. 7 very good innings of 5-hit baseball, a couple of walks, 7 strikeouts. 104 pitches for Chris Bassitt, and kind of put himself in the rotation. Very versatile. He could pitch out of the bullpen, which he did at the beginning of the season. 5 appearances, but he's pitched in the rotation since then.
So Machado steps in, the hero from last night, with the walk-off home run. 25 home runs and 59 RBIs. Bassitt's first pitch a little bit low. Machado, it was his second career walk-off home run last night. He did it to the Angels last year in July.
Well, he got a pretty good changeup to hit, or from a hitter standpoint, a good changeup. It's against Aaron Brooks.
1-1 pitch to Machado, shows bunt. Ball breaks off the plate, 2-1. Parra to follow, and then Jones here in the first inning. Hits that one hard in the hole. Semien backhand, straightens up. His throw is in time, and a nice play by Marcus Semien. So 1 away here in the first. Defensively for the A's, looks like this: Fold, Burns, and Reddick in the outfield. Laurie, Semien, Sogard, and Canna on the infield, with Stephen Vogt doing the catching.
Well, a very nice play by Marcus Semien. Watch how he backhands the ball and then sets himself. A little crow hop and then a very strong throw across the diamond. That's a good strong arm and accurate throw. But Mike Gallego teaches the backhand, and you try to circle around when possible, but that ball you have to go to the backhand, use the good hands with the glove, set yourself and make the strong throw, and he did everything perfectly.
First pitch to Parra is way inside.
And if you're a ground ball pitcher, as Bassitt can be, infielders know they're going to be busy. You make those plays, and Bassitt then can pitch his normal game.
Parra bounces one. Bassitt leaps up to catch it, flips the first 2 outs.
Nice to be tall. Great play.
And that'll bring up Adam Jones.
And then the follow through, because you follow through and all of a sudden you go on the decline following through, but then be able to react quickly enough to jump up and make the play, and that's a good one to keep the ball from going up the middle, maybe in the center field.
Jones hitting .282, 20 homers, 60 RBIs.
You think he plays the game relaxed? If he goes after a fly ball and blows bubbles,
Yeah,
I think that's a way of kind of knowing that
got it under control.
everything is under control. Exactly.
He's got to be careful, though. Otherwise, we're going to put him in the pace of game violator group, which we have that list, you know, and we don't reveal that list to anybody, but we do have a list. And that is off the glove of Laurie and rolls into foul territory, and Jones is going to have a hit. Good effort by Laurie.
Yeah, hooking away from Brett Laurie, and nice diving effort, and with his strong arm just could not come up with it, and at least maybe took a double away from Adam Jones. Ball hooking enough down the corner, he might have been going for 2. Andy Valencia was scheduled to be in the lineup, but had to be scratched due to some back issues, and so Brett Laurie looked like he was going to get the night off.
Ouch.
In there.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Now that He's got a scratched up elbow, and you may, oh, that's not a big deal. And in the big picture, it's not. But what happens with those is, as soon as it starts to heal, well, then you do it again.
Oh, yeah.
And then it rips open again. And you end up having it for about 4 months.
Huh.
Wow. That's a pretty good straight job. Foul straight back. Chris Davis.
And let's see, he's sitting second in the lineup in the second inning, so he's not going to have a long time to get it taken care of, but just wrap it, clean it up, rack it around. That's it. That's what it looks like.
Jones jumps off. Easy. And a high fastball from Bassett. Davis strikes out. Side retired. Hitting a runner left. And we're through one at Camden Yards. A's 1, Orioles nothing. Today, Dan Otero and Pat Venditti, and there is Pat. They are back in the big leagues. Brad Mills was designated for assignment. Aaron Brooks was optioned back to AAA. So a couple of relievers, a couple of new relievers in the bullpen, and that's what Val Melvin needs. Some fresh arms.
Fresh arms. After last night, some fresh arms.
And last night, the A's bullpen, 7 1/3 innings and 123 pitches. And everybody pitched except Felix Dubron. He pitched threw nearly 100 pitches in Toronto in one game. Scope way out in shallow right field and throws out Vogt on a close play. So last night took its toll on the A's bullpen, and unfortunately the A's lost the game. There's the breakdown. The Orioles bullpen, 8 innings and 114 pitches. So it was a crazy game last night. 4 hours, 27 minutes. There was 33 hits, 43 combined base runners, 14 pitchers used, and when it was all said and done, a grand total of 417 pitches were thrown. So
did you count all those?
I counted every single one
of them. Wow.
So all that in a tidy 427. It was an entertaining game. He's had a lead, then he came back, tied it. Went home with a loss.
Question is, did Brett Laurie get his arm taken care of? I bet he didn't. I bet he's just roughing it, toughing it.
He could slide a sweatband on that right arm like he has on the left arm. He probably wish he would have had one there about 3 minutes ago.
Well, he played in Toronto on turf, and you'd expect that, but not on dirt or grass, as the case here in Baltimore.
High fastball and chased So Laurie strikes out, and that's the second out here in the second.
Target in, pitch up and in, and Laurie went up the ladder, could not make contact.
So that'll bring up Sogard. So we showed you Otero and Venditti, who are in the bullpen, but it's not like they've been hanging around all day. Well, they've been hanging around in airports all day. There was a little bit of a problem getting them here, but they did arrive just before game time.
And normally they would be here probably at noon, at least, coming in. If not, well, I guess they're supposed to leave early this morning. Hey, Mickey Morbido, director of team travel for the A's, probably the MVP. Consider that he's almost a daily chore of moving players around.
Well, there was some trouble getting in, I guess, Washington, D.C. airport.
Could not leave either. Brad Mills was supposed to leave, and Mickey said all the flights were canceled. You got to get him a room in a hotel for the night and leave tomorrow morning. And the only reason he was designated for assignment because he had to be, well, he's out of options, number one. And whenever he arrived last night, somebody had to be taken off the roster to put him on the 40-man roster, and then in order to send him out, designated for assignment. So it's kind of a complicated, whereas Aaron Brooks had options, so he was optioned to AAA.
1-2 pitch. Sogard slaps it into left field for a base hit. Just past J.J. Hardy.
And that is exactly what you're supposed to do with a fastball outside. Shift or no shift. Don't try to pull a pitch that's running away. And Sogard took a pitch really maybe off of the strike zone, away from the hitter. J.J. Hardy in a normal position with a hand look slightly towards second base, maybe thinking he's going to pull the ball. J.J. Hardy jersey night. A lot of Hardy jerseys, I guess, floating around tonight.
Yep.
Heard Brooks Showalter. They had a state of the Orioles where he and Dan Duquette, the general manager, on top of the A's dugout and talking to a mass of Orioles fans. And heard Buck say, well, I'm glad I put JJ in the lineup tonight because it's his jersey night.
You can't give him a rest on his jersey.
Yeah. I think they would like to because he's probably playing at less than 100%. Hardy is.
Well, in this ballpark, the fans wear a lot of orange.
Yeah.
And tonight, even more so because of that giveaway right there. J.J. Hardy, number 2.
Zach Britton actually came out in a J.J. Hardy jersey. He said, I'm going to be Hardy tonight. Maybe after what happened last night, he didn't want to be Zach Britton. A very strange and rare ninth inning for him. Blow the save. I did ask Caleb Joseph, the catcher, when Marcus Semien hit the ball, topped it off the plate in the ninth inning. I said, would it have gone foul? And he said the spin, it looked like it probably was not. He said, but before I knew it, could say anything. He was catching the ball and trying to throw it out.
High in the air, medium deep left center, but plenty of room for Jones. Semien is retired, and so are the A's. Bottom of the second coming up. It'll be Scope, Clevenger, and Hardy. 1-0 A's. Is brought to you by Real Strong Redwood. Why Redwood? Visit realstrongredwood.com. Baltimore's Inner Harbor. Fun place. Lots of things to do. Lots of places to eat. And just a nice walk to the ballpark. Bottom of the second inning. Jonathan Schoop to lead it off.
Good first inning for Chris Bassett, with the exception of the base hit off of glove of Brett Lawrie, but Chris Bassett only 11 pitches getting through the first inning.
First pitch popped up into the seats.
Look at the delivery of Chris Bassett. It's kind of very slow and a lot of arms and legs, and all of a sudden get about a 96, 97 on you very quickly, and that's why Schoop a little bit late with the swing, did pop it up and hit it into the seats.
And that one hit Schoop. So it was a breaking ball that just stayed inside and just kept following Schoop. So the leadoff man is aboard.
There's nothing he could do. He tried to get out of the way. Curveball just didn't break, and just went straight into him. Got him in the left arm and tried to get out of the way, but could not run quickly enough. That's called a backup curveball. That is a great Exmo shot there.
Definition of a backup curveball. A curveball not doing what it's supposed to do. Going in the wrong direction. So here's Clevenger. A left-handed hitting catcher. Checks his swing. Clevenger was on the Orioles opening day roster, but then went on the disabled list, hurt his thumb in late April. He came back and got back, went to the minor leagues, played 75 games in AAA, and now back in the big leagues. Pops this one 5. You know, Ray, we were talking about last night's game, and Bob Melvin said today after or before his game, as he was meeting with the media, that his next pitcher last night was going to be Ike Davis. And you kind of threw that out there as a possibility. Ike Davis was actually warming up in the batting cages down underneath. And Davis was in the game as the DH at that point.
Yeah. Which would have been perfect, because the DH is there for the pitcher.
Yep.
So if a pitcher goes in, he can stay as a DH. Yes.
And we've seen Ike Davis, and he's a legitimate. He could go out there and get people out.
He pitched in college, so when he pitched down in Anaheim, it was natural for him.
See if the A's can turn 2 out at second, and they do. 4-6-3 on the double play, 2 outs.
Boy, Sogard smooth and white. That is an unbelievable flip. He did not turn. He just caught the ball, kept his feet. Watch this as he catches the ball and then flips. That's a long flip, and actually a very nice flip to Marcus Semien. But got it to him. He was able to clear himself at second base and continue to double up Clevenger. But you know, it's very hard, it seems, for a middle infielder to determine how far, how close he has to be to make that kind of a flip. And Sogard, man, that was perfect.
It's a flip that most second basemen should be able to make, but not all of them can.
Right. The only other way he could have to turn and throw, it's going to take more time. And even though the ball was hit hard, he was able to flip it, and to be able to make that good of a flip, that knows that a lot of confidence in Eric Sogard, a second. Very good defensive player.
1-1 to J.J. Hardy. And if the second baseman's going to kind of shovel the ball underhand to the shortstop, he almost has to be moving towards second base. Exactly. If he's going away from it, obviously he can't do it.
And that's a good point, because there's so many different ways for the middle infielder, whether it's a shortstop or second baseman, to handle the throw at second. Use the bag to push off, go across the back, step back, or like you say, when you're shoveling the ball as a second baseman, a shortstop to the other middle infielder, turn the double play. and they work at it. I mean, it's a lot of work during batting practice, ground balls and working on turning double plays. And that's the familiarity part that we've talked about all season with these two up the middle.
Simeon scoops, throws in time, side retired. So the double play helps Chris Bassett. Nicely turned by the middle infielder Sogard and Simeon. 1-0 A's after 2. Nothing. It'll be Fold, Burns, and Canna. So Sam Fold getting a start tonight. Coco getting the night off. Sam Fold in a tough stretch right now. He's 0 for his last 18.
That's probably laid down a perfect sacrifice bunt last night, and Bob Melvin knows those numbers and knows also that it was a situation, a pretty good hitter to plate who could get a sacrifice down.
Oh, 2. Miguel Gonzalez kicks and fires, and a good fastball in on the hands of Fold. Outfield shallow, and we say that a lot with the Orioles. And a good take on a breaking ball. 1-2.
Well, with the outfielders playing so shallow, and as you mentioned, the Orioles are doing that, especially with Burns, and now same with Sam Fold hitting ninth. But you figure ball in front, they may rob a single, but it's over their head like it was with Burns. It's extra bases. Yep. In the case of Burns, with his speed, it's a triple.
Pitch is hit high and deep to right field, down the line, and that baby's gone. Sam Fold with a solo shot, and it's 2-0. It was plenty deep, just a matter of whether it was going to stay fair, and it did.
Well, now he's got one against a righty after hitting Montgomery, a lefty, and so Sam Fold on a 2-2 fastball. They challenged him, and outfielders, they could have played anywhere on that one because it went over the out-of-town scoreboard, and Sam Fold July the 5th. That was against the Mariners at the Coliseum, his first and his last home run, but tonight a big one.
Gonzalez gives up a lot of home runs. That's the 21st home run he has allowed in 121 innings. So that's a high number. Burns hits that one toward first. Davis scoops it up, and that's out 1-1.
I remember the fastball got inside that he fouled it off. They tried to go back in and left it out over the plate. Very similar to what happened last night with Adam Jones. Hit the 3-run home run. Fastball supposed to be in like this one was. You leak it out over the plate. Mistake. Home run. It's got to be a great feeling for Sam Fuld, who does not hit a lot of home runs in a tough stretch. Over and gets it over the standing room only crowd in right field.
So 1 out for Canna. He's now with a 2-0 lead. First pitch in first time. 6th most home runs allowed in the American League. Miguel Gonzalez.
One consolation, it was a solo. That's the only consolation. When you hit a lot, give up a lot of home runs, you just hope that you don't have a lot of runners on base when you do it.
Gonzalez gave up 25 home runs last year in 159 innings, so that's a high amount. He's not overpowering. Drops the curveball in there, 1-2. Canna had an RBI ground out in the first inning. It scored Burns after Burns had tripled.
You know, if a pitcher is not overpowering with the fastball, he cannot get away with a mistake. He has to be able to locate it. And again, he tried with Sam Fuld and did not get where he wanted it.
Reddick to follow here in the third. And a good take there by Canna, and the count is full. So Canna's ready. And that one's hit hard in the hole. Backhanded by Hardy. Throws, and Davis digs that one out, and they just get Canna on a close play. 2 outs, and that gets us to our Ford right choice. And Coco Crisp from last night. His first 4-hit game since September of 2013. He had 3 doubles and a single, so it was a good night for Coco Crisp. It's good to see Coco on the bases. Coco should be back in there tomorrow. Good numbers against the Orioles this year. Oh, 0-1 to Reddick, who bounced back to the pitcher in the first inning. So Reddick now 1 for 5 in the series. Last night the A's had a 4-0 lead going to the bottom of the 5th inning.
And the one thing they did not want was a 3-run home run, and that's what the Orioles got them right back in the game. As big as the other hits were, that probably was the biggest, because a 4-0 deficit midway through the game. Adam Jones made it 4-3 with 1 swing of the bat.
Reddick drives this one left center. That's hit well. Rondon and Jones going back, and that baby's gone. left center field for Reddick, and it's 3-0.
How about that, Oppo? That's amazing. Okay, to your point about not striking out a lot and using the opposite field, fastball supposed to be away. It was in that direction, and I think there are a few players would like to hit in this park all the time. The Orioles love it. Jones in right center, the ball in left center towards the bullpen, and just made it. Josh Reddick, his second in the post All-Star era. It's a nice swing.
So a couple of solo home runs for the A's here in the third to give them a 3-0 lead. So 0-2 to Billy Butler, who bounced out to third in the first inning. So his first home run to left field this year, and he's had a lot of hits to left field. But that was a nice easy swing. 1-2 pitch is hit fair down the right field line off the end of the bat. Parra picks it up. Billy Butler's going to try for two. Parra's throw is there. He's out. Parra's got a terrific arm, and he made a great throw. So Billy Butler thrown out trying to stretch a single into a double. They're going to take a look at it. At least the A's are going to check. Mike Eldreddy on the phone with Adam Roden, and
he just said out.
He said out. And it was close, but I think he was out. So the A's get two on the home runs by Fold, solo shot, and Reddick, solo shot. So 3-0 as we go to the bottom of the third. With his second home run of the year, Reddick with his 14th home run of the year. So another early lead for the A's. Try to hold on to it tonight. Chris Bassett will face bottom part of the order. Henry Urrutia. Urrutia from Cuba. Just called up to the big leagues. Getting a chance to DH tonight. Rolls that one toward first. Canna has it. And that's out number one. Chris Bassett, lowest ERA in the American League since June 30th.
That's impressive.
Well, if you look back at his starts, and this is his 8th start, if you look at his first 7, he has not had a bad start.
Yeah.
And he has not always pitched deep into games. He's been a little bit better at that lately, but
the game he pitched against the Orioles, he went 7. And that's when Stephen Vogt went out to him, and as Chris Bassett told us in the postgame that night, that he gave all the credit to Stephen Vogt. And unbeknownst to us, he felt he did not have anything, and Stephen Vogt got him through the game. Said Fegley was more familiar with him, having caught him in Chicago in the minor leagues. Vogt knew, but Stephen went out to him in that last batter he faced, Travis Snyder, and he said, "This is your last batter. Don't hold anything back. And you throw a 97 in your 104th pitch. That's saying something about what you have left in the tank."
And now 3-0. Nolan Reimold. A couple of hits last night, 2 for 4. Taking all the way on 3-0, and it's in first strike. And that one runs inside, and it's a 1-out walk. Now to the top of the order in the power hitters.
Ball's actually running too much. The right-handers against Chris Davis, he threw the same pitch and struck him out. But the right-handers, the ball is running in, and unless the hitters swing at it, which they'll break the bat if they do, and they'll take it, and it's off the plate.
Machado hit a ground ball to short in the first inning. Pitch is outside. Looking at Machado's seasons with the Orioles, remember he was called up in 2012, played in 51 games, and then in 2013, his first full year, he hit .283 with 14 home runs and 71 RBIs. And that was the year, remember he had all the doubles. Remember he was on pace to break the doubles record. He ended up with 51. This is what he did last night on a hanging changeup.
Right down the middle, and he waited. Brooks knew it. I think everybody else knew it as well. Caleb Joseph had hit a double in the inning.
And last year, remember, he started the season on the disabled list. He was getting over that left knee injury. Yeah. It's fairly significant surgery. Last year, when it was all said and done, he played in 82 games and hit 12 home runs. Didn't slow the Orioles down last year, at least not in the regular season.
Oh, and he injured his knee. It was similar to that of Garrett Anderson, or Garrett Richards of the Angels.
Simeon charges, shovels to Sogard, and another double play for the A's, and that retires the Orioles. 6-4-3. Couple of double plays turned by the A's so far in the game. Use hashtag CSNCA Data Strong Fan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. It's all brought to you by T-Mobile. A's fan in the house, surrounded by a lot of orange tonight.
With his size, it doesn't matter.
No, he's good. Good looking hat. See the big crowd tonight. Sellout crowd. With the A's leading 3-0, keeping the big crowd quiet as Stephen Vogt leads things off in the 4th inning.
I showed the home run Stephen Vogt hit last night. And to be honest, I thought it was a two-seamer. Stephen said it was a changeup that did not do anything, just stayed right about thigh high. And the grip from Jimenez just did not look like that, but hitters will know. And Stephen Vogt got out in front, pulled it over the out-of-town scoreboard.
1-1 to Vogt. Swing and a miss, and a pitch in on the hand.
This is what he did last night, and this is a changeup that Jimenez threw that not exactly where he wanted it. Only wanted to bounce it.
Three hits last night for Vogt. And there's a shot left center, and Jones is there. So, Ray, did you see what Edward Mahika did today? He had a crab feed.
Oh, that
took care of all the guys. He provided a big crab feast for the team. Brought in by a local seafood business, and Edward said, "I'll take care of it." And the guys loved it.
Well,
we saw the remnants of it when we came in at about 4:15.
Yeah, it looked like peanut shells, but then realized it was cracked crab.
It looked like there was a giant party in there. Nice gesture by Edward Mahika. Hardy throws, and they just get the hustling glory for the second half.
Well, it's a good city for that.
That's true. That's true. That may be the same place where Mahika got it from. Who knows? Oh, look at that. If you like crab, this would be a good town to enjoy it. You got to work, though.
Yeah,
work a little bit.
That's what I don't like. You got to work to get the meat.
Yeah, it is. It's good, but you do got to work for it.
So you get the crabs, you take all the meat out, and I'll eat it. It's good once you get it out. Yeah. Some hot butter.
We like to say a veteran move by Edward Mahika.
Well, you hear about that when a major league player goes on his rehab assignment down to the minor leagues. But they usually treat everybody with a huge meal.
Parra is going to play it on a hop, and Sogard has his second hit. Parra was playing over in right center field, and that's why he could not catch up with that one.
Eric Sogard just continues to find the hole. Off-speed pitch from Gonzalez, and that's why Parra was playing where he's playing, and Sogard went against it by getting out in front of the changeup.
So the 2-out hit, 6 hits now for the A's, just 1 hit for the Orioles, and here's Simeon. Fastball inside. A's with a run in the first, and then 2 in the third on solo home runs by Fold and Reddick. Simeon hit a fly ball to center field in the second inning. Good pitch there. Looked like a slider.
Slider cutter. He's got both. Slider's a little bit bigger. That had a little bit bigger break on it.
It's 1-2. Just 1 strikeout so far for Gonzalez, he has not walked anybody. And that one hit hard. Machado, nice play, fires to second. Side retired. Good play by Manny Machado. Quick step to his left. So the A's get a hit, and they leave a runner. Bottom of the fourth coming up.
Eric will be signing autographs at the Xfinity store at 31055 Courthouse Drive. That's in Union City, August the 22nd. That's next Saturday from 11 a.m. to noon. This opportunity is limited to the first 150 fans, so make sure to get there early. Let's get Eric Sogard's autograph, then head to Coliseum for fireworks that night against the Tampa Bay Rays. So, Sogi, good signature. Talk about nerd power.
I got it.
That's what he talks about.
I got nerd power.
He's got it. Somebody's got it. Parr's got a great arm. As Billy Butler found out.
When the Orioles got Parra, he was 4th in the National League in hitting. He has not gotten rolling yet here in Baltimore. And he's been a good player for a while. He was hitting .328 when acquired from the Milwaukee Brewers. He's 11 for 52 with Baltimore. Make it 12 for 53 as he shoots one right back up the middle. So leadoff single for Parra. One of those many free agents that you mentioned earlier, right?
Well, Bassett in the first 3 innings, 8 ground ball outs, 2 double plays, and so he'll try to do it again after ball just eluded his glove, and he looked in the glove thinking, why didn't it stay in there? Hit very hard, finished, never got in the glove.
Right underneath it.
And blame the glove. It's a hard hit ball. Always scary when you see him back up the middle. Strikeout of Davis in the first. Other than that, ground ball outs. Looking for another double play.
First pitch to Jones, way outside. Jones homered last night. It got the Orioles back in the game.
Well, just a mislocated fastball and a 3-run shot. I'm talking about the Parra hit batter that the lefty on lefty hit him and brought Jones up.
Broken bat, Simeon grabs it. So 1 out here in the 4th inning. Chris Davis will hit. Davis struck out in the first inning, the only strikeout so far for Bassett. There's 39 pitches so far. So Bassett giving Bob Melvin exactly what he needs so far anyways. First pitch is up and away. Davis, one of those free agents at the end of the year. Davis and Wieters are the two big names for the Orioles. There's other guys as well. Darren O'Day, Wei-Yin Chen. In fact, there's well over $50 million coming off the books for the Orioles, which is always a good thing. There's two parts to that, though. How do you spend that money, or do you? How important are the guys you're losing? And in the Orioles' case, they're very important. Wieters and Davis, the big names.
Well, this is what he did last night on a slider from Fernando Abad, and it was Utah Street bound. That made it a 2-run deficit for the Athletics. This ball hit and bounced up off the warehouse way deep in right field, and a bit of a softer type slider that Fernando Abad said he was not going to do anymore to lefties because of things like that.
And the 2-1 pitch swung out and missed. Here's the breakdown for Chris Davis. So that's the kind of guy that you can see you would put the shift on for. But the power is to any place in the ballpark. High and deep to right. He's done it again. He's hit 4 home runs against the A's this year. And just like that, it's 3-2. Well, his home runs are just like they're shot out of a cannon.
Well, when they're hit so hard and so automatic, just watch him at the plate. He doesn't move except to watch. He knew it was gone. Fastball from Bassett, and I mean, really it's center cut. I don't know. See them both set up towards the middle or the inside part of the plate, but he just stayed away from him his first at bat and blew him away with fastballs, and actually 3 fastballs, and that was it.
So 33 home runs now for Chris Davis. Most he's hit in the season is 53. And that one moving way inside, but Scope swung at it. It's funny because he's a big, strong guy. But the swing, it's a nice smooth swing.
Yeah.
I think too he's got just a little uppercut, so when he hits it, the ball just sails. I got 87 RBIs.
Yep. How would you like to be hitting behind him as Scope is, and he's trying to duplicate what he swings harder and does not get the same results.
And that one fouled at the plate. Both picked it up, but it's called a foul ball by Adam Hammery.
Well, it was a 3-run home run last night that made it a 1-run game. A 2-run home run tonight. That makes it the same 1-run game.
And a swing and a miss by Scope for the second out. And the second strikeout for Bassett.
Well, the other all fastballs to Chris Davis. This time a breaking ball and a good one. Although elevated a little bit, but still got the strikeout.
I think, Ray, the ability for a team to hit home runs, and in the Orioles' case, a lot of home runs, I think it helps them the most getting them back in games.
You're right. Exactly right.
And we have seen it in this series. So Chris Davis, his 33rd home run of the year, and now it's 3-2 as we go to the fifth. By Sonoma Raceway, all roads lead to the wine country for the Verizon IndyCar Series season finale, August 28th through the 30th at Sonoma Raceway. Visit racesonoma.com for tickets. Nighttime settling in here in Baltimore. And now it's a 3-2 A's lead. It was 3-0. Chris Davis changed that. Full Burns and Canna.
Yeah, he's hit 2 solo home runs equaling their 2. Chris Davis hit a 2-run home run. There was the 2 that he got back, and just the Burns triple leading off the game. Sam Fall, just as he did in his first at bat, behind 0-2, worked the count to 2-2, got a fastball, and hit his second home run of the season.
So 1-2 now to Sam. Tapped, foul. Clevenger picks it up, but he's in foul territory. Astros and the Tigers are scoreless in the 4th inning. Verlander and McHugh battling there in Houston. Astros 2.5 game lead over the Angels. Astros won last night, Angels lost, so it's a good night for Houston.
Now, Cap, you're looking at that out-of-town scoreboard. I didn't notice it last year, but that is a smaller scoreboard this year than last year. Now,
really?
we haven't been told by our great people up here, but that is smaller because they only show the American and then they flip to the national.
They used to have.
So how much shorter is it, Chuck?
Huh.
It is shorter. I mean, you have the people standing above. I don't know that the people used to stand above it, but it is shorter. And see, the fans are standing above, and it used to be higher, and you had to hit it higher over that for a home run. So they have shortened it as something here in the stadium. Cut 10 feet off the top. Thank you, Delaire. That's a noticeable difference. 10 feet. Wow. But I noticed it was shorter than what we had seen in the past. And 10 feet, well, you could just imagine. Because people were not able to stand behind or above the scoreboard. I don't remember that.
That's good Camden Yards knowledge by you.
Well, I just,
I did not
just something
notice
you
that.
noticed, But I do remember that the fans, well, you couldn't have the fans up higher, but it was extended up higher if it's 10 feet.
That's right. You could not.
You could stand behind it, above it, like the fans are there.
You would, if you were standing there, you would only be able to see the people from like their chest up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And now you can see their whole body as they stand. So there was. You're right. That's a good call. And if you weren't tall enough, you were out of luck. If you were a kid, you were out of luck.
Yeah, if you got standing room over, you had to get over farther, closer to Boog's Barbecue and billowing smoke. So I would think, considering it's been lowered 10 feet, that the home runs just over that, there must be like a ledge that we have at the Coliseum, the out-of-town scoreboards, that makes it a little bit more inviting. Chris Davis does not need help, so I don't know why they wouldn't do it for him specifically, but maybe for other left-handers.
There's your ledge.
Yeah, there it is. So I guess anything up above that on that ledge, like at the Coliseum, would be a home run.
Surprised there's not a yellow line. Usually they put a yellow line that the ball has to go over.
That's why they have the replays, challenges, years, home run balls.
1-2 pitch to Burns in the dirt.
Yeah, the A's should have brought their possum so that the Orioles, who were at the Coliseum,
he's good right where he's
in
at.
The bullpens at the Coliseum, you can see the possum of the Orioles players and relief pitchers running from it.
He's good.
He was caught.
Yes, he was. And a walk. So the speedy Burns is on with a 1-out walk.
Walking Billy Burns for a pitcher is like walking a pitcher.
Yeah, patient at bat by Burns. It's the 21st time he has walked this year.
Well, just think, and we have marveled at his speed and his rookie season, everything he has done with his bat and with his speed. And he's just going to get better and better. And when he does and draws walks like he just did, that the great Ricky Henderson, who he talks to a lot, it's like a double and maybe a triple, because he can steal second, maybe steal third. And so everything that's happened to Billy Burns so far in this season is in his first one. And he's had a great rookie season, and he's just going to get better and better.
He's got 23 steals, looking for number 24. Canna, a couple of ground outs, one of them knocked in a run. He's leaning, not going, and Canna takes a bit inside. Burns is second in the league in steals, 8 behind Jose Altuve, 1 ahead of Lorenzo Cain. Did not steal a base in last night's game.
You're looking at those three, and that's the stolen base leaders.
Well, I thought that when we were playing the Astros and we showed Altuve's numbers, his numbers are down, but those don't seem like real high numbers.
That's what I mean.
Altuve was in the 50s last year.
And we're at 118 games for the A's, and again, the last 6 weeks of the season, you look at those numbers.
Good jump. Clevenger's throw late, and Burns has stolen base number 24. He got a good jump.
Boy, didn't he? That's a great jump. Great take by Mark Canna. And as you have always said, you got a right-handed hitter. You could see him take off and straight, all the way straight still. No looking back. Breaking ball makes it even better. And even though he straddled the bag, did scope. Billy Burns got the hand in safely, kept his hand, and then his leg on the bag. The scope kept the tag there. So big stolen base. Kind of no doubt.
So RBI chance for Canna. He rips one fouled on the left field line. So 2-1 the count with Reddick waiting in the on-deck circle. Scope trying to keep Burns close. And the ball trickles between the legs of Clevenger, and Burns will go to third. So a walk, a stolen base, and a wild pitch. And without a hit, the A's have a runner at third with one out.
And infield probably will be coming in, but the slow breaking ball, great take by Mark Canha. And hey, that's not a small ball hit the ground. But what Clevenger did was great. He could put the glove on the ground, but somehow the ball got under the glove. And anytime the ball hits the dirt, which that one did, that's not a pass ball. But it's the way they rule it. So it's an unearned run. The A's score this run. At least at this point, unless it's a home run.
Timeout call.
Well, let's see what happens. If it does, see, it barely hit the ground and then got the webbing and just kind of pushed the webbing underneath. But Fisher score saw that the ball did hit the dirt, although slightly, and it should have been blocked. But still, you can't penalize the catcher when the ball does hit the dirt to give him a pass ball.
3-1 to Canha. Breaking ball that stays high, and it's a walk. Second walk of the inning. First and third, one out for the Athletics.
Now, Cap, I talked to Caleb Joseph, had him on my pregame show on the radio side, and I asked him because we had noticed in Oakland and here, and specifically with Danny Valencia and Wei Chen at the Coliseum, threw him a 3-2 slider, frozen, struck him out. And I asked him about that, and he said the philosophy is that if the hitters are good, you'd rather give up one with a walk instead of a fastball 3-2. Let him hit a home run, just like Arnold Leon did with Chris Davis in the Grand Slam. Throw him a fastball, and we talked about that. If you throw him a changeup, maybe you're walking, but you only give up one versus four.
So that really answers your question about when facing the Orioles, they don't give in.
That's right, and that's exactly what Caleb Joseph said, and he'd been behind the plate doing that, and it shows confidence in the pitcher that you throw off speed. You're going to fool hitters more times than not, and the A's have been fooled a few times.
Reddick got jammed a little bit, fouled it back. 1-1 the count. So the A's need to pick up a run here at least. After the Orioles got the Davis home run in the bottom of the fourth inning. Reddick with a solo home run in the third. In the first inning, he grounded out. Ball drops down and away.
Great fastball outside left center with the home run. He's running hard, thinking maybe he didn't get enough, so they're going for extra bases, shut it down, and trotted. His 2 home runs against lefties, and maybe the omen for the Athletics, his last one came against Brett Anderson in Los Angeles, and the A's won that game. So maybe his home run tonight, the first since then, and help the A's win this one.
Well, this may sound strange, Ray, but I wonder if he's not pitching around Reddick a little bit.
He did Canha to set up a double play, and he could be doing the same thing
with Billy Butler, who is a double play candidate.
That's a great point.
And I think he was.
He threw 3-1 breaking ball to both Canha and to Reddick, and here comes Dave Wallace, the pitching coach, so he's got to get at least another hitter. Let's see if he does it again. Runs out, glasses on top, rubs his eyes. Let's see. Boy, changed it up.
Come on, don't let us down, Dave.
Oh, he changed it up. Maybe he thought he needed to change it up tonight. 3 consecutive walks. Billy Butler either has to squib one past Chris Davis at first, like he did in his first at bat, even though he was thrown out at second, but that would play a couple of runs. But get the ball in the air. Definitely don't hit a ball on the ground.
So there are your runners: Burns, Canha, and Reddick.
See, I thought Canha with the Burns at third. Canha 3-1. They didn't give in to him, maybe to set up a double play opportunity, and even more so now.
So Billy Butler will try to make him pay. for that strategy of saying, hey, we think we can get Butler to hit into a double play. He's ahead in the count 1-0. He's grounded out and singled. 2 for 4 in the series with a walk. And he hits it to Machado, who scoops it out at second. Double clutch at second base, and the throw is still in time. Scope had a little trouble getting it out. So the strategy by the Orioles works as Billy Butler hits into a double play for the 20th time this year. So the A's had the bases loaded, 1 out, and could not score. Bottom of the 5th coming up. 3-2 A's lead. You did not want to have happen for the A's happen.
To the sure hand, the third baseman, Scope with a double clutch with a hard slide, and that was a good slide by Reddick, going in hard at second base, trying to avoid the Orioles turn the double play, and the double clutch by Scope, still with a strong arm, off balance throw, able to double up Billy Butler, the 5-4-3 double play.
So bottom of the 5th, it'll be Hardy, Urrutia, Reimold. Bottom 3 in the order. Another tight game, 3-2.
Just told it, Trevor Plouffe has hit into 22 double plays. Trevor Plouffe.
He would not have been the guy
no.
that I would have thought is leading the league.
That was just the 53rd pitch thrown by Chris Bassett. So pitch count, don't worry about that. But fastball, the 2-run home run. That's something to be concerned about. In fact, one of the things about the Orioles, they're so good defensively. And just even the throw by Manny Machado was perfect at second base. Scope, give Reddick a lot of credit going in hard to second base, knowing that he had a big lead off first base and he was going to be able to go hard into second to try to avoid having his teammate doubled up. And this is protecting this target outside, and the fastball running in if you almost got hit in the chest.
Two off the end of the bat.
But you know, with a defense that's so good from a pitcher standpoint, that's so encouraging. I mean, you can actually, when you think about 3-1 curveballs to back-to-back hitters to load the bases, and maybe like you said, just to say, okay, if I can get a ground ball, I'm going to get a double play. And you know, while Billy Butler hit it hard, it was the Adam ball right to the sure hand third baseman.
Pitch number 57 coming up for Bassett. And it's lined down the right field line into the seats.
Just thinking about, we showed Buck Showalter, the manager, and you know, we've talked about the very tough Eastern Division of the American League. Showalter said that if you play in the Eastern Division of the American League and you cannot turn a double play on a ground ball, you're not going to win games.
Interesting.
And that's exactly what happened.
Can't give away outs.
Exactly.
Because it's such a, I think it's just a hitter-friendly division. Good curve, and Hardy strikes out. So 3 strikeouts for Bassett.
It went off speed, and that's a good breaking ball from Chris Bassett. Started middle of the plate, just kept floating away, and J.J. Hardy, who probably is continually playing with a back issue that probably a reason he's not hit as many home runs, but he knows the importance of his defense in the lineup. He's definitely showing it.
Here's Urrutia, who bounced out his first at bat. Speaking of that AL East, the Orioles are 5.5 back in the division, and they're 1.5 back for the second wild card. That wild card has the Jays, the #1 team. The Angels are the #2 team. Orioles a 1.5 back of the Angels. Rays are just 2 back. Rangers 2.5.
Well, the Yankees went into Rogers Center. Had a pinch hit 3-run home run last night by Beltran. And his first at bat today hits another one.
Yep, and that's updated.
Yep.
Updated with that Yankees 4-1 win.
So they picked up 2 games after being swept in New York. They're trying to turn the tables on the Blue Jays in their home park. And after winning 11 straight, now the Jays have lost 2 straight.
Line foul. It was Tanaka with a complete game today. He gave up 5 hits, 8 strikeouts through 112 pitches, and he was terrific. That game was on TV here. Boy, he was in complete control. Went out there for the 9th and just took care of it. It was a 4-1 final.
Great splitter.
Yeah.
Split finger fastball was outstanding.
Teixeira also homered his 31st of the year. Beltran, it was his 12th. 2-2 now, so the crowd was quiet at Rogers Center today. So the Yankees now 64-51. Full count now to Urrutia. The Royals are leading the Angels 7-1 in the 4th inning. That is not what the Angels want to do, is fall behind that Royals team.
Were they playing football today at Fenway?
Yes, they were. They played it yesterday, too. Strike 3 call. Inside corner, back-to-back strikeouts for Chris Bassett.
Well, they've been up in the zone, but had the middle of the plate. Look at the movement. And good fastball. Really about belt high, just so slightly below it. But the movement of the fastball, that was the key. Bringing it back to the plate. So which position player pitched for the Mariners today?
Sucre.
Sucre?
Sucre got an inning in.
I saw that Brian Cook pitched for the Red Sox.
That was not good either.
What did he do? Tell us
that. I'm going to tell you what happened at Fenway the last 2 days.
I can't wait. Because I know you're on top of it.
That's a tease. That's a tease. Tell you when we come back. 3-2 A's lead after 5.
and Eric Sogard. That's not them. With your very own striped sock backpack, presented by Chevron Techron Advantage Credit Card. Monday, September the 7th, 15,000 fans will receive stylish backpack modeled after the preferred footwear of Sonny and Sogi. Get your Labor Day tickets now at athletics.com/tickets, or you call 877-493-BALL.
So I thought your concentration was very strong there as you read that. We like to call them promos.
What was that?
It was an Orioles fan.
Oh, that's a Striped Sox backpack. That's going to be cool. I can see your kids going to school with that backpack.
That's not out of the question. 1-1 to Stephen Vogt. Vogt, Laurie, Sogard here in the 6th inning. 3-2. A's hanging on to a 1-run lead. Line foul. Final score today at Fenway Park, Ray, was the Red Sox 22 and the Mariners 10. 22-10 was the final. Felix Hernandez was the losing pitcher. He gave up 12 hits and 10 earned runs in 2 1/3 innings.
What? Are you kidding me?
We would think that's impossible.
That's maybe 5-6 starts worth. And he did it that quickly.
Against the A's, it's like a year.
I know.
But there's so many goodies. The Red Sox had 26 hits. And Jackie Bradley, their young outfielder, was 5 for 6 with 3 doubles, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, and 5 runs scored. As Vogt swings and misses, so Vogt is gone. 2 strikeouts for Gonzalez. So a huge day for Jackie Bradley. On and on and on. But what really makes this unbelievable, Ray, is last night the Red Sox beat the Mariners 15-1. So in the last 2 games at Fenway Park, the Red Sox have scored 37 runs and 47 hits against the Mariners in the 2 games in the series.
It's hard to believe. 15
last night, 22 today. Last night they had 21 hits. Today, 26.
So do you have Ryan Cook's line? Because change of scene, we thought maybe it'd work out.
Well, and Ryan Cook, he came in to pitch, I believe, the 9th inning for the Red Sox. Red Sox were winning, obviously. And he gave up, I believe, 4 runs. So it was, even though the Red Sox won, not a good day for Ryan Cook.
Well,
but that's unbelievable.
That is hard to believe. And again, we wish John Farrell the best because, as reported last night, he's going to miss the remainder of the season for some chemotherapy. So that's a lot of runs. Fenway Park. That's just, I mean, what?
If you're the Mariners, you just think, what is going on? And the kicker in all this, Ray, on Wednesday, the Mariners threw a no-hitter.
That's right.
They have off on Thursday. Friday and Saturday, they give up 37 runs.
Wow.
That is unbelievable.
And with Felix being one of them, that's really hard to believe.
Rory fouls it straight down.
That's right. You were calling a no-hitter against the Orioles.
And then the next 2 games, you give up a combined 47 hits. I don't know if that's a 2-game record, but it's got to be close.
It's amazing what those coast-to-coast flights will do to a pitching staff. Something happened.
So it's not been a good year for the Red Sox, but man, do they put a hurting on the Mariners the last 2 days. And 2 to Laurie, who has struck out and grounded out. 91 pitches for Gonzalez. Oh, good pitch outside corner. Got him looking. So back-to-back strikeouts here in the 6th inning for Gonzalez.
Now there's another 3-2 pitch and no challenge fastball there again. A cut fastball. Watch this ball move right there, right to the corner, start in the middle of the plate. And if a hitter's sitting fastball 3-2, which most will do, you either make an adjustment to foul it off or be ready for something, especially against an Orioles team. They're facing now the 5th game of this season. And I cannot think of very many times that in a 3-2 count, the pitcher just reared back and threw a fastball.
Yeah, this is the 5th game these two teams have played, and you just don't see it. And their staff is not a big strikeout staff if you just think of the personnel. Gonzalez isn't. Tillman's not really a big strikeout guy. Wayne Chen is not. Up and away to Sogard. We'll see Wayne Chen tomorrow. And then Tillman on Monday. Setting up outside to Sogard, and it just missed. Came around the plate with a breaking ball. They're doing the wave here at Camden Yards. Wow, full count. 3 walks, 3 strikeouts for Gonzalez so far. The 3 walks came in succession in the 5th inning. Burns, Cannon, and Reddick.
And Eric Sogard looking for his 3rd hit. So got a curveball 3-2 or 2-2. Laurie a cutter on 3-2. See what Sogard gets on 3-2.
What do you think? Let's make a prediction.
Well, he may go curveball back door. He tried it and just missed, and he may get the call on 3-2. And Sogard usually does a good job of protecting. That's a curveball.
And there it was, and it's lofted down the right field line, well back into the seats.
That time it looked like Clevenger called a fastball, and Gonzalez shook to the curve. You know, that's something that you definitely think about as a hitter. And I think a lot of times you can not necessarily scout the pitcher, but scout the catcher. What does a catcher do in certain situations? Shook off fastball. It's going to the changeup. He shook off fastball in and fastball away to throw the changeup.
He got him. So Miguel Gonzalez strikes out the side here in the 6th inning, much to the delight of the Oriole fans. 3-2, bottom of the 6th coming up.
Oh, how about Sam Fuld, his 2nd of the season, 2-2 fastball over that shortened scoreboard. It's going to go anyway. Josh Reddick, a 3-1 fastball left center. And his home run gave the A's a 3-0 lead. Chris Davis, the 1-2-run shot. And a long one again. It's 33rd. And it's a 3-2 game. An A's fan hoping that the A's pitchers can hang on as they lead 3-2 in the bottom of the 6th inning. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PICK-ATT, mobilizing your world.
Top of the order for the Orioles. First pitch to Manny Machado is Slider that's outside. Machado has grounded out twice, once into a double play. Parr to follow, and then Jones. Orioles hit 3 home runs last night, and they got 1 tonight.
Bassett swatting away something in front of him.
Off the end of the bat. Machado tried to wait on that breaking ball. Ended up being out in front. Got the pine tar going on the helmet.
Yes, he does. How's he again look? Stephen Vogt look. And he probably won't let the equipment manager clean it either.
That spins inside. 2-2 the count.
But he hit it into a double play, but he also started a big double play. See, Parra's new, so he's got the clean helmet. Machado's been here, and he'll use that one again next year.
That one hooked down the left field line, but it'll be foul. Pine tar does not come off either.
It takes a lot of alcohol, and not the kind you drink either.
You need gasoline to get it off.
A lot of times, hitters who don't wear batting gloves will put a lot of pine tar on the helmet, so all you do is touch it and get the pine tar on your hands. But a lot of things in that on-deck circle to help you hit.
And now 3-2 is. You see that happens to Bassett once in a while. Ball just completely gets away from him.
You know, it's a good pitch to left-handers because they'll see it sometimes as striking runs away from them, but for a right-hander, it's a slider, so he's not going to go fastball to him.
Hit hard. Simeon scoops it up. And that is out number 1.
You know, speaking of pine tar, there are pitchers, of course, if like Pineda had the pine tar on the side of his face and on the head, and they eject him, suspend him. But pitchers will say, wait a minute, hitters are allowed to use pine tar. Why can't we?
Sure.
And, you know, from a hitter standpoint, it helps them grip the bat, whether they use batting gloves or not.
No.
From a pitcher standpoint, if they get pine tar or stick them on their fingers, it helps them grip the ball better to throw a curveball.
I agree. I don't really think there's any difference.
There's really not, if you think about it. I mean,
because the batter wants to feel like the bat is tight in his hand, and he doesn't want to let the bat go.
Exactly.
Well, that's what a pitcher wants with a ball in pine tar. I don't know that. Does a pitcher have better stuff if he has pine tar in his hand? I don't think that's what it's about.
No. And really, I think sometimes the hitter will say, please let the pitcher do that, because if the ball slips out of his hand,
no question.
I mean, really.
I bet most hitters would say, you know what, let the guy use pine tar. If it gives him a little better control.
If you look at all the pine tar batter a hitter has on it, and he has a batting gloves, and that is stick 'em. I mean, your hand will not move with the bat, and you want to make sure it is firm in your hands when you swing.
Just, you know what, just make pine tar legal. Any other foreign substance illegal.
That's true. Yeah.
And you can smell pine tar. I mean, you know,
right?
You know if it's there.
And the George Brett home run off Goose Gossage, and the bat was, the home run was disallowed because the pine tar up too high. Come on, pine tar on a bat's not going to help the ball travel into the seats.
Oh, what difference does it make?
If you don't make contact like that,
right field, headed for that big wall, and it's gone.
And there's a home run because of it.
It dropped right on top of that ledge, and another home run for the Orioles, and it's 3-3.
And there is a shortened scoreboard. The ball just scooting over right there.
It fell right on that ledge.
Yeah. This is a line drive, and this might have been a single last year, but a shortened scoreboard. And watch how this ball gets right on top and stays right there. Josh Reddick was hoping the ball would come back, but it stayed up high enough. And you push that scoreboard up 10 feet, that's a single.
It's off the wall, and Reddick's right there.
Yeah. So 2 home runs, 2 runs batted in for Parra. And that's a big one. Ties the game.
Here's Adam Jones. Curveball, and Jones out in front. 16th home run in the last 9 games for the Orioles. 25 of the last 39 runs have come on the home run. They have now hit 150 on the year. They're 4th in the American League in home runs hit so far this year. But let's not forget, they led the major leagues in home runs in 2013 and 2014. It's what they do. They don't steal bases. They don't necessarily hit for a high team average. Matt Venditti starts to throw. Simeon has it, straightens up and throws out Adam Jones. So that's the second out here in the 6th inning. And here's our cold hard facts, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Most consecutive 20-plus home run seasons in Baltimore Orioles history. Cal Ripken Jr. did it 10 times, Eddie Murray 9, Adam Jones, Boo Powell, and Rafael Palmeiro 5 times. That's consecutive 20-plus home run seasons. Adam Jones is going to play for a while, so he could get to Cal Ripken Jr. So 1-0 to Chris Davis. To Sogard out in shallow right field. Fires to first, side retired. Parra with the home run. So we are through 6 innings in Baltimore. And a new ball game. It's 3-3. It happened in September. Cal Ripken Jr. starts his 2,131st consecutive game, breaking that 56-year-old streak by Lou Gehrig. And it happened right here at Camden Yards. What a night. When the game became official in the 5th inning, Cal Ripken received a standing ovation that lasted 22 minutes. He took a lap around. It was a terrific moment here in Baltimore, and really a terrific moment for baseball. And when it was all said and done, Ripken played in 2,632 consecutive games. Unbelievable.
A record that, I mean, you never say never. You talk to players of today, and they'll say, I'm not going to play. I'm not going to play 20 games in a row, much less 17 consecutive years.
And granted, I'm partial to baseball. I think it's the greatest sports record ever.
I agree.
I mean, I don't know how. I mean, listen, other people could argue with me, but think about that.
Well,
how does it come out to? How many straight years?
16. And I think the first 1,000 games he played every inning.
And Brett Favre started a whole bunch of games in the NFL, which is a terrific.
It's once a week.
But it's once a week. And
I think
tough game, but still once a week.
I think the one thing Cal Ripken Jr. said, and he compared it basically to people who work every day for a living. I mean, sure, you get to play a kid's game at this level, and it's great that baseball exists. Everybody loves it. But Cal said, there's no different than somebody getting up every day and going to work. I just did it in baseball. It's incredible.
A couple of MVPs. Won the World Series in 1983. He was the MVP that year.
But that was the only one he won while he was playing. But they always talked about the Oriole way, and one of the most enjoyable times for Cal Ripken Jr. was when his dad, Cal Ripken, managed, and his brother Billy played alongside him. So you had the father and the two sons playing, or managing, and two playing. And unfortunately, seniors that called him passed away.
You know what I like, Ray? The line on the bottom.
Yeah.
98.5% of the vote. That means somebody didn't vote for him. Excuse me?
You know why? Because there's never been a unanimous. There never will be. And I think, and I agree. I agree with you. But you think about the ones, the Hall of Fame members, and nobody's ever been given 100%. And there will always, I agree, but there will always be somebody who will say, "Hey, if Babe Ruth wasn't 100%, or Lou Gehrig, how can anybody else?" But,
well, then it was a mistake that Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig wasn't 100%.
I agree.
Simeon strikes out. Gonzalez has struck out 4 consecutive hitters.
I think it was Rene Gonzalez who wore 88, right? Because he wanted 8, but of course Cal wore 8, and he said, "Well, if I can't have 1, I have 2 8s."
Rene Gonzalez. Full bounces one to Scope. And that's out number 2. But that 83 World Series, that's the only World Series that he played in.
Exactly.
And he won it.
But I've always said, you know, he played shortstop position, which you think about double plays, taking, you know, a ball at second base on a throw from the catcher. The odds and the chances of getting hurt, yet never did. That was the remarkable thing. But I think he had a whole bunch of lines, because there were times when it looked like he could never come back and play, and then all of a sudden he'd show up and he would play. But just a remarkable player. He never, it seemed, tried to protect himself to avoid injury. He kind of thrived on being right in the middle of everything.
And he may have known how to avoid an injury, but that's genius.
That's it.
Right? I mean, give me a guy who stays in the lineup. Machado playing even with the bag, grabs it, and a very good inning for Miguel Gonzalez. He's retired 7 in a row. So 7th inning stretch. Beautiful look at the statue of Cal Ripken Jr. 3-3 game, bottom of the 7th coming up.
By Toyota, the full-line automaker with the longest-lasting vehicles in America. Toyota, let's go places. And by Xfinity, home of the most live sports.
Come out and enjoy Star Wars fireworks presented by Chevron Saturday, August the 22nd. All are encouraged to wear their Star Wars costumes and enjoy the post-game show from the outfield grass. But as always, space is limited. Purchase a special ticket package to receive an R2-D2 beanie. Visit athletics.com/Star Wars for more information. Cap, did you see that shot of Chuck Morgan, a PA announcer in Texas?
Yeah, I did. He was dressed as
Cotton Eye Joe. Chuck was, but the guy was
I saw a
Jedi.
picture of him dressed in a Star Wars.
Yeah, he was Chuck Morgan, he's got Cotton Eye Joe on his hat. Here they have, thank God I'm a country boy, 7th inning again.
Having fun. Sellout crowd that I hear in Baltimore. Well, we've seen some big crowds on this road trip, and that's fun. Good atmosphere in Toronto and a very good atmosphere as always here in Baltimore. So Orioles come to bat. They have battled back from the 3-0 deficit. So A's had a 4-0 lead last night, couldn't hold it. 3-0 lead tonight, couldn't hold it. Couple of home runs. Davis with a 2-run shot, Parr with a solo shot.
Last night, at least, the A's scored late, as they had scored early, had the 4-0 lead, and then scored late, tying it in the 9th inning with 2 runs. There's the total, and 11 ground ball outs for Chris Bassett. And that part has been good, but there have been 2 that have been hit in the air and 2 that have been home runs.
So Scope is the hitter.
Pitch in the 7th inning. That was pitch number 83. So things are looking good from that standpoint.
Simeon cannot quite get it. So Scope reached for it a little bit. He got the good part of the bat on the ball and lined it past Simeon. So a leadoff single.
Now that's a curveball. It stayed there. The one to J.J. Hardy earlier was away from him. He couldn't reach it, but Scope had it stepped long enough. Good effort by Simeon, just could not get to it.
So Clevenger will hit, left-handed hitting catcher. And he hits one high, deep down the left field line, into the corner, and he caught it. Scope hustling back to first to throw. Double play.
What a double play. Wow.
Sensational play by Sam Fuld in the left field corner.
I thought it's going to be a home run when he left his bat. Kept slicing. Sam Fuld right into the corner. Very little foul territory. Reach, caught it. And then with Scope rounding second base, had to hurry. Quick throw by Sogard. And there's your 7-4 double play. What a play by Sam Fuld. And then to get the ball back in and get the double play. That's a 3rd double play turned by the A's tonight with Chris Bassett on the mound. That's the first one in the air, and that's a huge double play.
So 2 outs thanks to Sam Fuld. The ball would have been foul, but not by much, and it was hit well by Clevenger. Now 0-2 to J.J. Hardy.
A Scope thinking this is going to be down on the corner. I'm going to get to third base. I might even score. And there's the mistake when it stopped, and then how quickly the ball got back in. And he was doubled off first base and probably could not believe that it was going to be caught. The scary part with Clevenger, the ball off his bat looked scary going down the line, but a great play by Sam Fuld.
1-2 pitch to the screen. Hardy tonight has grounded out and struck out. Just missed. Tigers have taken a 1-0 lead over the Astros in the 6th inning. Royals still leading the Angels 7-1 in the 6th. Swing and a miss. Good pitch by Bassett. So he gets his 5th strikeout, and that inning belonged to Sam Fuld. Terrific catch in the left field corner, and it led to a double play. presented by Zevia, the zero-calorie soda, and supported in part by Athena Bottled Water, Nelson Staffing, Comerica Bank, and State Roofing Systems of San Leandro. Prior to the game, 10,000 fans will receive a breast cancer awareness scarf courtesy of Zevia. To join the fight, purchase your special tickets now at athletics.com/survivor. Top of the 8th inning, the A's and the Orioles are tied 3-3. When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change tune-up and brake experts. The All-Star Darren O'Day comes in. O'Day pitched last night, and he threw 12 pitches. So he did not get overworked last night. So I'm sure Buck Showalter would love to get an inning out of Darren O'Day, who will face Canna, Reddick, and Butler here in the top of the 8th. Home runs, the story tonight. Gonzalez throws 110 pitches in 7 innings.
It's amazing how he finished and got the double play, and you predicted it perfectly. Got the double play, and that was the big inning for the A's with the bases loaded, 1 out in the 5th inning. They had the lead, could have padded the lead, did not, and Gonzalez got the double play, retired the last 6 after the double play. 7 solid innings for him after getting up 3 in the first 3 innings, including 2 home runs in the 3rd.
Each team has hit 2 home runs. Orioles have now hit 5 in this series. 0-2 to Mark Canna. Hits that one high and foul down the right field line. Rangers leading the Rays 3-0, 4th inning in Arlington. That's a big series for the wild card in the American League. Archer and Lewis. Pitching matchup there. Rays are 2 back of the Angels for the 2nd wild card. Rangers 2.5. The Rangers still in it. It's shot right back up the middle, and that's a base hit. So O'Day got that pitch up, and Canna made him pay. We told you, Brett Lawrie, he's not going to sit still. This is in between innings, too. This is not like pregame.
And he was supposed to get the night off. Could you imagine what he'd been doing had he not been playing?
So as soon as he finishes juggling balls, stretch, stretch, stretch.
Meanwhile, Mark Canna, a very good at bat and very aggressive on the 2-strike pitches from O'Day, 2 of them at 0-2. Wow.
Right to Hardy, out at second, out at first. 6-4-3 double play. So double play helped the A's in the bottom of the 7th, hurts the A's in the top of the 8th.
Boy, tried to go to left field with the gap, but right to J.J. Hardy, and the sure hands of Hardy to Scope, and a strong throw, and Reddick really hustling down the line. But I mean, amazing it'd be that close. It's still a double play.
First pitch to Butler in first strike. Butler 1 for 3. So the A's have hit into a couple of double plays tonight. Orioles have hit into 3. And a quick 0-2. Big crowd tonight, 44,028. That is the 8th sellout of the year here in Baltimore, and it is a gorgeous night. They're dressed in orange tonight. Fastball away, and a count 1-2 to Butler.
Smallest crowd for the A's on this trip was last night at 36,784.
Just a tiny gathering last night.
39 plus, 44 plus, 49 in Toronto.
Got him swinging. Good slider by O'Day, so Butler strikes out. Bottom of the 8th coming up. Bassett back out there, and we are all tied at 3.
Great, 91, still pitching great, and you know, Bassett gave up a home run to Bumgarner in San Francisco, gave up 1 his next start. He's only given up 2 in the rotation, and then he gives up 2 tonight. But he has been pitching very well, keeping the ball in the park, which is always important for a starter, any pitcher, but especially a starter.
So 8th inning, Urrutia leading things up, and then he's been up a couple of times. He's up again. Urrutia, Reimold, Machado here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Urrutia just called up from the minor leagues. Hits this one high in the air, shallow left. Fold is under it, and Sam Fold makes the catch. 1 away here in the 8th inning.
Good breaking ball to the left-hander, and gets another pop-up, another fly ball out, which is very rare for him tonight. That's the closer. That guy was wearing J.J. Hardy's uniform during the pregame workout. By the way, speaking of the workout, amazing. This weather has been very nice here, yet the Orioles are allowed to wear shorts during batting practice. I mean, in Texas, it's so hot they do it there, but I guess they anticipate the humidity, the heat here.
Well, it was humid today during the day, but you know, around late afternoon it actually has cooled off, and it's beautiful right now. Day game tomorrow will be a little warm and steamy. Night game on Monday.
Be nice, and Tuonies arrive in Oakland about 3 in the morning. Nice weather.
Yeah, but we got plenty of time to get ready for Kershaw and Goddard.
Yeah, here's the workout. I mean, that's this is, you know, Diaz, the coach, is fully dressed in his uniform, but the players come out, pitchers, position players come out. And Texas, they do that, but it is smoking hot there.
1 to Reimold. He's got good power. Be careful. And that one's popped up, and he may have got a pitch to hit there, and he ends up popping it up to the second baseman Sogard.
The slider, back-to-back hitters, and I know I've mentioned this before, but left field, the upper deck shows the pitch and the velocity, and this is a great slider. And while it might have been one to back up, 3-1 looking fastball got something off speed. What a performance by Chris Bassitt.
And that one in for a strike. So 95 miles an hour. Not sure Machado agreed with that call. Bassitt will take it, and it's 0-2.
He's definitely an uncharted territory for him into the 8th inning. And 7 has been his tops in the rotation for the A's this year.
He really has not been in trouble.
No,
the home runs have accounted for all the Orioles' runs. Curve, and he got him, and what a performance by Bassitt. He gets his 6th strikeout, and it's a career high 8 innings pitched tonight for Bassitt. We're going to the 9th. It's a 3-3 game.
If the A's needed a starter to go deep in a game, Bassitt has done exactly that. Strikeout the big guy in the first inning, first at bat. Good breaking ball, especially throwing a breaking ball behind the count. There's a good curveball to J.J. Hardy. Good fastball for a strikeout upstairs, and there's a fastball strikeout. Hardy, and how about that curveball? Just finished it that way. 8 innings pitched, and he's not finished. We'll see if he goes back out. Just 5 hits and 3 runs, a couple of home runs. But Honda player of the game, very deserving for Chris Bassitt, and what a star he has been for the Athletics. You think Bassitt, Fegley, Semien, trade from the White Sox.
So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change, tune-up, and brake expert. So the closer, Zach Britton, comes in. Got knocked around last night, gave up 2 runs and 4 hits in his 1 inning and got a blown save. He did get to 1 out away, but could not finish the game. Britton threw 18 pitches last night as he faces Vogt, Laurie, and Sogard. Top of the 9th, 3-3 game. Strike 3 call. So 3 pitches. Vogt strikes out. So 7 strikeouts now for Orioles pitchers.
Well, a big breaking ball, knee buckler, and came into the play at strike zone.
So one away for Laurie. Laurie has struck out twice and grounded out. And he bounces one toward the shortstop Harding. It's a big hop. 2 outs. He's, since the 4th inning, have just 1 hit. Now, they did get the 3 walks in the 5th inning, and as the game rolls on, Ray, that the Billy Butler at bat may be the biggest at bat of the game.
And it's usually, unfortunately for the A's throughout this season, it's been one of those at bats throughout a game that's been kind
different
of
guy. Doesn't we're not trying to jump on Billy Butler here. It just it seems like you're right. Like we can look back at games where the A's dropped close games or extra inning games, and there was an opportunity there for them, and they just could not get it going.
What do you think of the Mark Burley start in Toronto? Bases loaded, nobody on first inning.
That's right.
A chance to really open it up and blow it away. And the A's collectively this year basically have not been able to take a game, an inning, and really make it easy on the pitcher by scoring a lot of runs. So while that's not happened this year, it could before the year is over and go year to year. It could be a big difference next year. Big difference in the way the offense comes out next year.
2-0 pitch to Sogar, 96 miles an hour. Venditti is warming up. Any switch hitters?
No. Got left, right, left. In the arm,
So now 2-2, and this sellout crowd is ready to erupt if Britain can get out of it. Some of them rising to their feet. Strike 3 call right on the outside corner. So a couple of strikeouts for Britain, and we're going to the bottom of the 9th. We're all tied at 3.
Of the Oakland Athletics and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Athletics Investment Group, LLC.
So it's the bottom of the 9th, and it's a 3-3 game. And Pat Venditti is on in relief of Chris Bassett. So Bassett very good tonight. He gets a no decision, and there's Pat Venditti when it's time for change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. Your oil change tune-up brake experts. Warming up right-handed, flips it over, warms up left-handed. It's fun stuff. And I tell you what, I mean, you know, it's been interesting to us since we saw him in spring training, but when we come into these I mean, the Orioles folks were so excited that Venditti was here.
You're right.
It's a good story, and right now, forget about the story. He needs to get this game to extra innings.
Well, they figure he's got a left-hand hitter in Parra, and then when Jones comes up, he'll switch around and throw right-handed. But a great job by Chris Bassett.
So lefty on lefty here with Parra stepping in. It'll be Parra, Jones, and Davis. So heart of the order. First pitch slider sweeps in there for a strike to Parra. So 103 pitches for Bassett. He was good. The home run got him. A walk and 6 strikeouts. Swing and a miss. 70 miles an hour on that slider.
Well, that's a couple of good guys in rotation right there. Bassett tonight. Kendall Raymond will pitch tomorrow.
Takes that one. That one hit down the left field line. Fold racing over near the seats, and Sam went up into the seats, couldn't get it. You're surprised when Fold doesn't catch it.
Yeah, you're right. And he thought he had it and just went in. Too many bodies there, especially with the orange jerseys on, all with number 2.
So 1-2. Diddy ahead of the count. And that slider way inside. So the count remains 1-2. 7 hits for the A's, 5 hits for the Orioles. There has not been an error made in the game. And that one just missed off the plate, not by much.
Well, this was against Chris Bassett, and that tied the game. A fastball, very quick bat by Parra, and just over the out-of-town scoreboard.
Again, way out in front of the slider is Parra. That's 70 miles an hour. Well, it's got to be tough to stay back against somebody like Venditti. The velocity is so far under the normal pitch speed. Right field, but in the ballpark. Reddick's there. He's got it. So 1 out.
And Petty's already flipped his glove around to the left hand.
So he will now pitch right-handed. So if there's fans in the stands who don't know the story, and I'm sure there are.
Sure. They're saying, wait a minute.
What is going on here? What am I missing?
And Jim Hunter, who does the TV for the Orioles, along with Mike Bordick, and he was so excited to look at the lineup card because he could see lefties on the lineup card, righties on the left hand, and then right in the middle of the card here was Venditti because he throws both.
So he'll face Adam Jones, who's 1 for 3. And Jones hits one hard. Laurie hugging the line, gets up, fires across the diamond, 2 outs.
And that's what you're supposed to do late in the game. Guard the line, and you know, you give up a hit to the left.
Venditti rule. Pitcher must visually indicate to the umpire, batter, and runners which way he will begin pitching to the batter. Engaging the rubber with the glove on the particular hand will be the deciding factor. The batter then can choose which side of the plate he will bat from. And obviously it comes even more into play when there's a switch hitter.
And he has to declare.
He has to declare, he being Venditti.
Right. Scary thing here, they're shifting him to the right side, but as we know, Chris Davis has power all fields. And so if he keeps the ball down there, you hope he keeps it on the ground. Hopes at least that Davis hits the ball on the ground if he hits it.
So 1-1 to Davis. now 1-2 at 70 miles an hour.
Well, the slower variety of the slider. It's a good one, although in the.
Did he go? No.
He's just keeping the ball down, and that's the key. Because for Davis, the uppercut swing, it was a check swing, so strong it did not make contact.
Two pitch. Reached for it high and deep right center field. Reddick's at the wall. Gone.
You gotta be kidding me.
For the second night in a row, the Athletics feel the pain of a walk-off home run by the Baltimore Orioles.